All right, hello there, and welcome back to another Starfield weekly recap. This is date is the 6th, so we're just about to get into July soon, and then we probably still got 2 months till Gamescom. So yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff as always. So yeah, let's jump into it, shall we? So hope you guys have been having a good week. Starfield's got some pretty decent mods. I say last week, obviously, because I reviewed it. I record this on the Monday and it goes out the Tuesday. So hopefully we will get some good mods today, if today is Tuesday. But yeah, so one of the things I want to talk about first, and I've talked about this before, but I recently did a review of a weapon in the game it was a paid weapon called the AK-000. And while it was a cool weapon, it didn't function at all on Xbox at all. It was very broken, and it would basically cause FPS drops. Now, I got a few comments from people, and from the mod author specifically, and obviously, as always, no hate to the mod author, but there's some things I kind of want to bring up and mention regarding that video, which obviously check out the video. It's a pretty good video, if I do say so myself. But yeah, so I think the first issue I will say is, so the mod author themselves specifically said that because in the review I asked about like how the mod author previously made another weapon. That weapon is not on Xbox, it's only on PC. And the reason for this was because they didn't have an Xbox to test the mod, so they didn't want to put it on PC or on Xbox, which is understandable. However, why they felt the need to then put a paid mod on Xbox is kind of beyond me. And the mod author kind of like insinuate, or they say that they basically relied on Bethesda QA to get the job done. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like that's a bit of a cop out. Like, yes, in hindsight, Bethesda quality assurance team will, they should be kind of checking stuff, but they're not going to check absolutely everything. It's not like physically possible. And like realistically, they're just kind of there to make sure that the game is kind of, it's all implemented somewhat. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you. Not trying to throw shade at Bethesda directly. I don't know what their purpose of their QA team necessarily is, because they don't really do a good job of anything. Like, I've repeatedly reviewed mods that have gotten through the QA process that have been horrendously broken. This weapon is an example of it. It's very strange. But yeah, so the fact that the mod author was like, I don't have an Xbox to test it, so I'm not going to put my free mod on it, but I'm going to put my paid mod on it, Xbox. That, I'm going to be honest with you, like, that's honestly, that's a massive fucking cop-out. Like, a massive cop-out. Like, that's one of the biggest things I will say regarding it is, like, if you are a mod author, right, and it's just becoming more prevalent these days because mods are coming to console. There's a lot of other games out there that have mods on console. It just is what it is. Console modding, while yes, there is some differences between console modding and normal modding, like PC modding, it's not that different. And again, I'm not a modder, I just go off what people said. But if you want to reach a wider audience, you should definitely put your mods on Xbox or any console you can. Now, obviously, if you don't have an Xbox, that's understandable. I would say reach out to friends, get some friends or people to test your mods. With regards to Starfield, there is many people out there who would be more than willing to test your mods, like go through the various Discords. I'm sure if you go on the Bethesda Discord, which all mod authors I feel like should be on the Bethesda Discord, you hit up and, there's probably some chats there. You could find some people. That being said, if you are going to put out a paid mod on Xbox, you should be testing it on Xbox yourself. You should not be relying on someone else to test it for you. Now, there is some kind of asterisk to that, because you could have people that you rely on for testing, and if you do, that's fine. But know that if you rely on someone else to test your mods and ultimately the mod has issues, that's going to fall on you and not them. You can't really blame them when And I see a lot of people saying, like, because I seen some quite interesting comments regarding the video. Like, there was one kind of comment chain, and it was kind of referencing the fact that, like, from the gist of it, what I gathered was that, you know, like, mod author might not want to put their content out because, see, here's the thing, right? In order for you to test a mod on Xbox, currently, I think the only real way you can do it is by uploading it on the creation as like a file for someone to download on Xbox. I've had a couple of mod authors send me files that way that I can review, which is always really helpful because I review primarily on Xbox. Now, the logic behind mod authors are saying, like, they're afraid that their mod will get stolen, but the issue here is that, one, well, that's kind of maybe potentially possible. At the same time, if you're making a paid mod and stuff, like, I don't know the ins and out of the verified creator program, but I would assume that there's like more there's more, not creative control, there's more like lack of stuff like that. Like, again, I don't know how to word it. I would just assume that if you're a verified creator and you're putting out a mod and stuff, and like if somebody does try and like steal your mod that you've uploaded for testing purposes, that you could more than likely go to Bethesda about it, and Bethesda will definitely do something, because one, you're essentially making money for Bethesda with the paid mods, and I don't think they would like somebody coming in and hindering your ability to make a paid mod. So yeah, like the idea of like people like, you know, stealing, I think it's a bit overfetched, over exaggerated. It's possible, but even then, it's like, if you set the mod to just be downloadable on Xbox only, how would they steal your mod? Like, the mods I have on Xbox, I've had a few, they don't transfer over to PC. Like, it's not like you can take the files from your Xbox, and to my knowledge, I don't think you can do that. I mean, maybe, but yeah, it just, yeah, it seemed, and like, to be honest with you, in the video, I mentioned that, like, oh, this mod can break your Xbox, and I just want to clarify some stuff, because, see, here's the thing, right? When I make content, like, when I make mod reviews, right, I try to be very transparent, very open. Now, if I review a mod that is broken and causes issues, I may slightly, not exaggerate the title, but I may kind of, like, make it very, like, to try and draw in as, I may make my my title and thumbnail to draw in as many eyes as possible, because I'm trying to make people aware of the situation. Now, can a mod, like, break your Xbox? It's unlikely, but it is very much possible, yes. I was chatting to a few people about this. Hardware side of things, it can. Like, it's not going to make your Xbox explode, but software side, it can and very well will. When you're using any sort of a mod, or when you're using the game, game crashes can be very problematic, right? And we've all seen it, you know, like, we've probably played games where the game has crashed. Like, I've had vanilla Starfield crash, and I've lost access to my autosave. I have had a mod that I installed, and it completely killed my Starfield. Completely. I had to uninstall Starfield and reinstall it. Now, my saves are all fine, but yeah, like, so if a crash was to occur at a specific moment, it could very well cause the software side of your Xbox to shit itself. I have had that personally happen to me with other games. I remember I got Destiny. Yeah, I got Destiny 2, like, probably a year or two after it came out. I, like, rebought it. And I literally turned on my Xbox, plugged it in, it was installing, and as it was loading, the game, for whatever reason, crashed. And when I tried to reload the Xbox, it just wouldn't. My Xbox bricked itself, and I had to send it away to get fixed. Now, obviously, the chances of it happening are rare, because I know there's people out there that worry. Again, I wouldn't worry about 99% of mods. Like, to be honest with you, yeah, I wouldn't worry about them. That being said, if you ever have a mod and you're noticing performance issues, like the FPS tends to drop, your game slows down, it stutters, get rid of it immediately. if it's a free mod, like you could kind of be like, okay, look, mod author clearly maybe they didn't test on Xbox, or whatever. Maybe that's the case. That's fine, I suppose. But it's extremely egregious and insulting to Xbox players that you expect them to pay money for a paid mod and you're not even going to test it. Like, and again, I'm not just talking, I mean, this is partly going out to that mod author in that video, but also to other mods. Like, the fucking audacity to expect that, it's just like, fucking excuse me, cunt. Sorry. It irks me because, like, I'm a diehard Xbox fan, and like I believe in the paid, like I believe in the paid mod when done right. Like, I've seen other games that have done far more egregious microtransactions, so paid mods in theory seem like the coolest thing, like, a way for the creators to make some money back and make some cool content. But it's just kind of highlighting the fact that ultimately Bethesda doesn't seem to give a shit about paid mods. Like, I'm honestly I'm of the opinion, right, that, like, should we be going to Microsoft about this? Like, I know that Microsoft don't like people selling dodgy stuff on their platforms, like games that don't run properly. Like, Microsoft have pulled games from the store before, and it's like, these paid mods are no exception. Like, Bethesda is part of the Xbox brand, they're part of Microsoft, and they're doing very little, if any, sort of testing with these mods. And a lot of them, like, don't get me wrong, most of them, I always say, like, some of them work really well. Most of them are pretty meh, They're not good, they're not bad, they don't break anything. Some of them are just downright scummy and scammy and, potentially game-breaking. And it's unacceptable. Like, we've had absolutely nothing from Bethesda from the last, like, couple of months, like, last probably half a year. Yeah, probably last half a year. Really, no, 3/4 of the year, probably 9 months. In that time, the only thing that's been kind of made clear is Bethesda's keeping pumping out paid mods. So, like, if you're going to pump out paid mods, Bethesda, and, like, approve them and all that stuff, the least you could do is test them to make sure they work. Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you, right? Like, when I test mods, my methods they're not very well thought out. I'm not sat here with, like, multiple Xboxes, running like the mods on, like, different stress testing. I just load the mod on a vanilla save with no other mods and I give it a go. I would say a good 40% of the paid mods I have tested have had issues that realistically a QA person should have picked up. And look, not all bugs on mods are created equal. You could see me experience a bug that you may not have. That's always possible. Sometimes I'll review mods and have no issues, and so there are people be like, oh, Crimson, I've had issues. Now, sometimes that's relating to other mods conflicting, sometimes it's not. But it's like, if I can basically plug in my capture card to my Xbox, you don't even need to do that. If I can basically go on the store and purchase a mod and find issues, and I'm like just random Johnny McGinty, like, Bethesda as a company who is worth billions and is getting a lot of revenue from the paid mods, would it really be that hard to just assign, like, a team of like 20 to 30 people, and their whole job is literally just to play through the mod in question, look at what the description says and test it? Because you're clearly not testing stuff. Like, the amount of times I've messaged mod authors directly and be like, yo, just FYI, like, your mod is broken in this thing, and they'll be like, what? Like, how did that get past Bethesda's QA? What's going on here? And again, this is why, like, mod authors, like, ultimately, it's kind of like you're in a situation where, like, ultimately Bethesda will hold the blame because, yeah, it's Bethesda allowing it. But that doesn't mean you can skirt some of the blame, because, again, if you're putting out a paid mod, regardless of where you're putting it out, right? If you're not testing it and making sure it functions, I don't think you deserve to be making paid mods. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, that AK mod, personally, and again, no disrespect to the mod author as a person, but, like, that is unacceptable. the fact that they don't have an Xbox to test, I feel like that should be question number one with Bethesda's paid mod. Like, oh, you're putting out a mod on Xbox. Do you have an Xbox and are you prepared to test? If they say no, then Bethesda should be like, well, you can't put it on Xbox. Very sorry about that. And like the fact that the mod author kind of is aware of that and stuff, it's like, I feel like Bethesda should have a kind of a striking policy where, like, if you put out a paid mod on a platform that you don't have access to without doing any testing yourself, and it ends up causing problems, you should get, like, temporarily banned from the creator program. Because, like, yeah, it's just, it's insulting to gamers, specifically console players. Like, we made the Xbox brand by buying games, buying console, by playing them. Like Bethesda, like a large percentage of like Bethesda players have always been like Xbox players. You know, Xbox have had a close relationship with Bethesda, and it's just very insulting. You know, like I am a fan of Bethesda, and like I will argue at times I've probably been very fanboyish of Bethesda, because there's a part of me that used to be like, oh, Bethesda can't do any wrong. And to be honest, Starfield has kind of warped my opinion of Bethesda a little bit. Like, I still have a lot of faith in Bethesda, and I still think Bethesda are like a very talented team. But like the way they've been handling various aspects of Starfield is just kind of like, excuse me, what the fuck? And I suppose the part that kind of gives me in YouTube the most kind of, or gives me the most kind of content is regarding the kind of reviewing of paid mods. Like the fact that they've handled it just piss poorly is honestly unacceptable. But that's pretty much it regarding that kind of topic and stuff. I don't like to go into the route of being overly negative all the time. I try to be positive, but at the same time, like, I am very much how do I say this without coming across not ignorant, like I when it comes to like I feel like I've either intentionally or unintentionally, I've become kind of a voice in the Starfield community, specifically the console community. Like with my paid mods and stuff, I try to kind of help people, you know, determine like what's worth spending money on, what's not worth spending money on, what should you stay away from. And like I've always had a very like a self-righteous mentality of like, I don't like seeing people doing wrong to others. And so when like I see stuff like this, like I can't help but like talk about it. And realistically, when I'm quite passionate about Starfield, despite its issues, I want to see it succeed because I think it's an amazing game. But that being said, when I see like mod authors pushing out questionable content, I get a little bit irate. I may call them cunts. And some people be like, Crimson, that's very offensive. To which I'm like, do I give a fuck? What's offensive is people putting out paid content that are expecting you to reach into your wallet. Like, not everyone, and there's people out there that have, like, you know, we're all different backgrounds, different, you know. Like, I'm lucky with making these kind of YouTube videos and stuff, and because of you guys' support, you know, people who like watch my content, watch my live stream, especially people who donate, very grateful. Like, I'm able to buy the mods and try them out, and if the mod is a shit show, like, at the end of the day, the way I look at it, well, at least I can get a video out of it, you know. Like, I'll probably, hopefully make the €4 or €5 back on the video. But not everyone has that. You know, some people out there, they may not have as much disposable income. You know, like maybe they bought Starfield on sale and they really enjoy the game, and they're like, and again, because Bethesda's not putting out content, they're like, they want to keep playing the game. They want something to keep them occupied. So they're like, oh, maybe I'll throw some money at these mod authors. And, you know, like imagine you got like your last tenner to your name till like you get paid next month, you know, everything, and you decide, oh, I'm gonna buy some quest mods or some paid mods, and it ends up breaking, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, obviously, yes, you can go and you can hit up Bethesda and get your money back, but like that's kind of beside the point. But yeah, so hopefully I won't be as irate. I know I have like a video, I will have a video coming out, which will be kind of like probably the final time I'm going to be talking about a specific mod author. I'm like, you will occasionally see me do like kind of like, I don't want to say hit pieces necessarily, because that sounds quite personal, but like videos where I will be ranting about either specific mod authors or mods types. And yeah, so I will have one on that'll basically be kind of like the final piece on the Gothos mod author, and you probably won't hear me mention them or their content for quite a while unless they do something super egregious. Because like I don't want to beat a dead horse, you know. I mean, I don't even want to beat a living horse because horses scare me. I think they're majestic creatures, but I got headbutted by a horse once. Attacked by a horse. I don't know. Horses don't like me, weirdly, and like most animals love me. Anyway, so other kind of topics I want to talk about. So there's been some stuff mentioned recently, and I think I mentioned it before regarding Starfield. So we've had no content. It's very clear we've had no content. Now, a lot of people have like there's a lot of hopium in the Starfield community, and for people wondering what hopium is, it's just kind of like a funny word for people who are kind of holding on in the hopes that Bethesda is not going to like fuck us over and they're actually going to make good content. A lot of people have kind of like their whole their the new like because there's always something that people will kind of cling to as the reason they're not doing content. It used to be PlayStation is being made in the works, the new PlayStation like game coming to PlayStation, which I kind of refuted that as a legitimate reason because I don't think Bethesda themselves would be necessarily dealing with a port to PlayStation. There would be companies like say like Virtuos who would deal in porting. Bethesda themselves never really handled porting, even like with Fallout and Skyrim. They've always had they've always had other teams that do the porting. Excuse me, sorry, yawn there. There has been always other teams that do the porting, so I don't think that's a valid reason. Now, one thing that's been kind of mentioned a little bit frequently, and I think I covered it, but I want to mention again, is the voice actor strike. So the voice actor guild has striked recently, or like they striked a while ago, and they're only recently now kind of coming to terms with it. And there's been like for instance, the voice actor for Sarah said she's finally happy to be back in the studio and stuff, and like do some content and stuff, or like back recording for Starfield, which is really cool. But the people are now saying like, oh, that must have been why Starfield hasn't been doing content. And like, to be honest with you, again, as much as I do you like the hopium, one, I think that's a bit of a cop out. Like, Bethesda can definitely add content to the game without needing necessarily voice actors, not to mention like, yes, if my initial kind of assumption, like, we knew about the voice actor strike, right? Before the Sarah voice actor thing is recent. My initial assumption, right, was basically that Bethesda had done content for the game. They had recorded lines with various voice actors, quests, expansions, so on and so forth. And the voice acting strike prevented them from putting out that content in the current form because of stuff I've mentioned before, like Destiny had issues with it where they had to pull specific voice actors from cutscenes and stuff. Now, that in that current mentality, that I seen that as like, that's a valid thing. Like, you couldn't necessarily put out an expansion if it focused around a new character with no dialogue. However, the fact that like Sarah's voice actor is saying they're back in the studio doing some recording, that kind of has me a little worried, because why weren't they recording before? You know, like, were they recording before? It worked. Like there's the kind of the critical part of my mind is like, do Bethesda not have any content? Are they only now making content? What have they been doing, you know? Because the other thing, and the kind of the meme, I remember the meme of it would be like, things like ship parts don't require voice acting, you know? There's elements of the game they could have updated and improved upon. And like, I'm not trying to be like pedantic here, because I think like, look, if you want to see me have my heart slightly broken, watch my my live stream, my Xbox Showcase live stream. You'll see me slowly lose hope when we got nothing. Like, I am probably one of the biggest Starfield fans out there, and I'm a massive fanboy, and I give Bethesda the benefit of the doubt, but I'm saying this to kind of, don't get your hopes up. I know Michael is probably like, yeah, good job, Crimson, you're learning. I do think there's Starfield content coming out, and I do think Bethesda have a lot to answer to, in my opinion. I think that even if we get like a massive drop in stuff, like, you know, new update, new stuff, I would like to see Bethesda to tell us like why they've been radio silent. They need to cut this radio silent stuff out, like this stealth dropping. It doesn't work, not in today's economy, not in today's climate. That's probably a better word. They need to be open and transparent. They need to tell us what's going on. They need to give us a rough roadmap. I'm not asking for a legitimate roadmap, because I know I've played various games. Roadmaps don't always work. They need to be very vague. There's no point like saying like, okay, we're planning on launching this DLC on this specific date, this DLC on that specific date. That doesn't work, because timelines can be moved forward, stuff like that. You don't want to get people's hopes up and break them down. Imagine what would happen, Bethesda, if you actually said you weren't going to be at Games Pass or Games Xbox Showcase. Imagine, be nice, yeah. But that being said, I just feel like they could go the route of just giving us a general idea, like, look, this year we're excited to announce that we're going to be focusing on overhauling certain aspects of the game. We're going to be improving space-based encounters and POIs in space. That's all they have to say. They don't have to give us a date on when it's coming. They just say it'll be out when it's out, and I think we as fans would be content with that, because we know something's coming, you know? Like, you never want to bog yourself down by giving us, and I've done it before. I've said a few times with my channel, like, oh, this will be coming out on this day. It ends up not coming out, which is always like interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much it regarding that. I think that's pretty much all. Oh, hold on now. I think we have some questions. Let me just double check. We got some questions. Let me check. All right, we got some questions. Got a question here from Starfield Eclipse that says, what are your thoughts on community collaborations like the community spaceship expansion? I personally think stuff like that is very cool. I know that the community, the mod in question, or the community spaceship expansion is, wait, now is that, hold on, is that the mod I think it is? Give me 1 second. All right, yeah, I just double checked this. Yeah, stuff like that, I think it's very cool. It's always awesome seeing people who have a position like of a kind of a higher position, but like when they're in a position where they can do that. Like, I know I partnered up with Sadir. I say partner, but Sadir did all the work back to do a Starfield Anonymous ship pack, which was very, very cool, very well liked. And I do like seeing stuff like that, where like the community kind of comes together and collabs and stuff, and like we get to see some, because like with regards to spaceships are like the biggest part of the game in my opinion, and I feel like it's just really awesome just kind of seeing more spaceship related content. I'm just looking at some. Do we have some other? Right, question for my weekly recap. What are 5 things you want to see for Starfield besides any shipbuilding features? Ooh, thank you, Tox Affiliate East. So what I would say 5 features I would like to see would be, I would like to see overhaul of the the settled system planets. I think that what they did with House Faroon and like having all the POIs close was really cool. I would like to see like New Atlantis have more POIs outside of it that are like not randomized. Like, for instance, like military facilities, like science labs, stuff like that. Aquila City, I would like to see something similar. Like, imagine like kind of camps of people like living, like little kind of settlements and stuff. I think that itself would be very, very cool. Second thing I would like to see is I would like to see more faction-based updates. I would like to see, like, there's cool factions in the game, like we've got List, we've got the Spacers, we've got the Ecliptic Mercs, and while some of them are just kind of generic, kind of, you know, fluff to kind of fill in certain things, like Spacers and the Ecliptic just being generic bad guys, and List kind of just being there, I would like to see quest lines tied to them, like imagine joining the Ecliptics, like finding out, going up the ranks, becoming the Spacers, like going List, like and this kind of goes into my next thing. I would love to see like an overhaul of the outpost system to make it less of an outpost and more like a settlement system. Being able to make colonies like akin to settlements in Fallout, but on a much larger scale, would be amazing. Like imagine like having like actual like settlements, and you can like set them up in specific ways. Like you can have it like as luxury resorts. You could have it as weapon manufacturing plants, and by that I mean like on a general scale, not just you have a machine making stuff. Like you actually would have factories, like, and you've workers, you'd have like a happiness kind of level. Just something like that I think would be really 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 cool. Number 4, let me think. I think honestly, I just like an overhaul of some of the customization stuff. Like in game, there's no like there's very few skins in the game, despite Bethesda having an option in the modifier, and we have a lot of mods that add it. But I would like to see Bethesda kind of add in the ability to customize more. Like give us a basic color palette on weapons. Give us like some different variations for spacesuits and stuff, things like that. I'm obviously like mods are very awesome, but I feel like modding shouldn't have to, like, they shouldn't have to take up the slack in areas where Bethesda are lacking. It obviously is nice when they do that. What would be number 5? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think of something. Oh, I would like to see Bethesda, if they are going to do this whole thing where the game is going to be kind of a long-term endeavor, I would like to see the game actually evolve as it goes through. Like after the Shattered Space expansion, if you chose the option to, you know, do the Great Crusade, it would have been cool if the game actually had more encounters with House Faroon, you know? Like if you choose like say like stuff like imagine like if there was game updates like every couple of months, and like there could be like a higher presence of certain factions because of choices you made, stuff like that, making the game feel more alive. Well, let me see, is there any more questions? What should, oh, that's more of a somebody somebody said that they were like, why would you need ship parts, basically, and I'm like, why not? I'm just looking, is there any more? A lot of people are kind of going the route of 'cause last week was basically oh, apparently they did. Xbox did, or Bethesda did actually say they were going to be at the showcase. My bad. That's a bit. Yeah, they like put out apparently an email. Didn't get that email. What the fuck, Bethesda? Am I not like on your list? Yeah, last week was just kind of talking about like the achievement friendly sort of stuff. Which again, it seems like, so I suppose one last thing I want to touch on. Again, very Xbox related. So in the Starfield community, and you see it everywhere, people will parrot things that they're not fully aware of. Like people will keep saying stuff. Like an example is people used to say that the stutter is caused by this, the stutter is caused by that. It's not. It's not. People say, like, people were saying Watchtower is causing a stutter, and there was people saying that the ship parts flips were causing stutter. I have used Watchtower for a long time. I've used the ship parts for far longer. I have never seen a stutter with the ship parts on Xbox or on PC. I don't know why these kind of people run with these things, which it always annoys me, because I'm the sort of person where, like, if you tell me something, I will want to go and find out where it came from, because I want to know if it's true or not. And like, obviously we can't always, you know, stuff like that. Sometimes we will take, when someone tells us something, we will take it as gospel, because, you know, like, oh, why, they'd have no reason to bullshit us. There's the one going around now about people like are mentioning, so people are mentioning that, like, they're like, oh, the reason like Starfield is like not getting any good updates is because of the disparity between console and PC, and that's completely bullshit and a massive egregious lie. Like, yes, PC is more powerful than Xbox but is your PC more powerful than Xbox? And people are going to be like, yeah. If you look at Steam's database on like specs and the most used specs, most people are running a pretty like low to medium end like build that realistically an Xbox Series X would probably be on par with. Like, if and again, it's always I feel like, and again, not trying to sound like elitist or anti-elitist, it's always from the point of these PC players that don't see outside of their own little kind of dome. Like, if you look at Xbox, for instance, right? Like, you look at games and how much games have improved. Like, for instance, Xbox 360, we went from having Halo 3 to Halo 4, right? Both using the same engine, same game, same everything. Halo 4 looked fucking amazing. Like, that was a kind of the end of kind of the lifespan of like the Xbox 360. Like, we're not anywhere near the kind of the lifespan end of like the current Xbox or the Series S. Because the S is another one. The S gets a lot of flack from people. It's like, oh yeah, the Series S like can't run this, that, and the other. Again, that's not a Series S problem. That's, I think, mod authors just taking the fucking piss. Like, apparently the mod I reviewed, which I don't have an S, so obviously I can't always test stuff. Now, when I see issues with, say, like FPS drops and stuff, yes, the S is less powerful than the X, right? If I'm getting an FPS drop on my Series X, there's probably going to be a drop on the S. It's probably going to be more egregious. But I did the Star Wars review recently, and apparently the Star Wars mod Mos Eisley doesn't work on the S, and I have to wonder why. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you, game developers are able to put games on the S like that can run on the X. So like if you can't make your mod run on the S. And again, I'm going to be firing shots, and I'm going in here like not knowing the full information, but is it just because you're not a good modder? And again, that's not. Again, if somebody would like to, if someone is a modder, would like to clarify specifically what the issue is, because like Watchtower, probably the largest update or largest paid mod we've gotten, like DLC level, that worked on the S with little to no issues. Yeah, issues can arise if you start throwing mods in, but yeah, I just don't buy it. I just think it's another thing of like people being quite lazy with mod stuff. Like, there is genuine there is like fact regarding stuff like fact. The Xbox console, yeah, they're not as powerful as a PC. My PC currently is probably cost around 3 to 4 times my Xbox to build. It runs better. Does it run better by much? Not really. Not really at all. Like the graphics look pretty much similar. The only real kind of difference is my Xbox sometimes loads a little bit slower, and like sometimes the render distance isn't as large, but even then that's irrelevant because pop in, pop out texturing is still a thing. I think that people like to jump on a bandwagon and just feel like superior with a lot of things. Like, oh, you know, it's the reason because PC is this, Xbox is that. And I don't ascribe to that sort of mentality because I think that sort of mentality is stupid and it gets us nowhere, you know? But that's pretty much it, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions for next week. And if I've said something here that might be inaccurate, because I always say, like, I am not a modder, but I have information on sort of things. Like, I look up stuff, I get information from people, I ask questions. So if I say stuff that's not entirely accurate, by all means, call me out on it, because the last thing I want to be doing is giving false information or information that's not inaccurate, or that is inaccurate. But yeah, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and maybe next week we'll get ship parts. Probably not. But yeah, bye.